I often get asked how the Bitcoin price will develop, because I've talked to a lot of friends when the Bitcoin price was at 800 or something, and now they ask me, is it too late to still buy Bitcoin? Or should I sell my Bitcoin now? Should I sell my Bitcoin and buy this or that? So this video is about what I think, how the Bitcoin price develops, because I don't want to repeat myself again and again. The video will be about, so it's for basic understanding of price analytics. It's about miner attacks, it's about segwit, lightning network, government attacks, speculators' money, hodlers, real value, amount of transactions, and basically everything I know about Bitcoin. To me, I bought in average a Bitcoin for $1,000. I didn't buy all of them at $1,000. I bought also at the dip of 200 before the breakout of the Bitcoin price. I told a lot of my friends and a lot of people that are close to me that this is a great opportunity. So I think I understand Bitcoin quite well, and I also understand the price quite well. Yeah. So I think I'm a good partner when it's about talking about the Bitcoin price. So let's get started. Churchill once said that the further you look into the past, the better you can predict the future. So I will look into my entry point, my biggest entry point in the past. This was right before the breakout. I looked at the amount of transactions and it just jumped in my eye. And I saw that the amount of transactions done with Bitcoin has gone up 16 times between 2013 and 2017. And that means that the real value of Bitcoin has risen, but the price has stagnated. And in fact, if you look at the amount of transactions and lay it over the price chart, you can see that both charts go hand in hand. And my prediction was perfect. The price has broken out to the top. It's gone up 10 times now or something. My conclusion to this is that I divide the Bitcoin chart into 3 parts. The real value, which means the value that Bitcoin has because people actually want to purchase something with Bitcoin. If they want to purchase something with Bitcoin, they have to buy Bitcoin. So the demand of Bitcoin increases, and if the demand increases, the price of Bitcoin increases too. The second part in which I divide the Bitcoin price chart is the investors' money, because the investors or hodlers buy and hold Bitcoin, which means the supply of Bitcoin is less than before for the people who actually want to use Bitcoin as a payment system. And that means the price increases again. The third part in which I divide the Bitcoin price chart is speculators' money. Speculators' money is just people who buy Bitcoin without a plan. They buy and sell Bitcoin the way they feel, or they want to make a bit profit by their speculation game. You know, if you predict that a lot of people will sell, you can kind of speculate on a daily basis or monthly basis or swing trade or something like that. So with these 3 parts, the price chart is complete. The first chart which builds the price chart is the real value. The second part which builds the price chart is the investors' money. And the third part which builds the price chart is the speculators' money. The real value and the investors' money create the minimum supported level. So the price can't drop below the real value and the investors' money. The real value and the investors' money is very easy to predict. They are not volatile or something. But what makes the chart volatile is the speculators' money. So what do I think? How much real value is in the price chart? I think the real value of Bitcoin is around $800. I think plus investors' money is around $2,500. And plus the speculators' money is today's price. Why do I think that? Because before the breakout, there was the minimum supported level has broken out. And then the speculation money came on top of the price, to simplify it. And with the speculation money, there came, you can call it commercial for Bitcoin. Bitcoin became more and more mainstream, and that means more and more investors actually came in. So that means the minimum supported level has also increased, but not as much as the amount of speculation money. Now I want to look at the Bitcoin growth rate, and I don't mean the growth rate in the price chart, I mean the growth rate in the amount of transactions. In the last 4 years, we had a growth rate of about 100% each year. And before 2013, we had a growth rate of up to 50 times a year. So the question now is, why the real value of Bitcoin stagnates? And that is because the blocks are full. In Bitcoin, you have 1 megabyte blocks every 10 minutes. And these blocks are full with transactions. And that means the customers have to wait until there's a block that is not full. And that means the confirmation time is up to sometimes over an hour. And the fees are sometimes up to $10 per transactions, which is a horrible customer experience. And that means new customers go to altcoins. A lot of new customers go to altcoins because they just can't. I mean, just imagine you want to buy a bread and the fee of buying the bread is higher than the costs of the bread. That doesn't make sense. So the new customers go to altcoins. And at altcoins, the blocks aren't full for now. The Ethereum blocks are full, but the other altcoins not. So the demand of cryptocurrency doubles every year. And that means 100% of the customers that are in Bitcoin today will go to altcoins within a year. Personally, I really like Litecoin because Litecoin just works the way Bitcoin works, but Litecoin has a block every 2.5 minutes. So that means in 10 minutes, 4 blocks. And that means you can have 4 megabytes of transactions in 10 minutes. Compared with Bitcoin, they can just have 1 megabyte of transactions in 10 minutes. And that means you can have more transactions on the Litecoin blockchain than on the Bitcoin blockchain. But the Litecoin blocks are filled today, I think, around 0.08 megabyte. Okay, I actually don't know at the moment. What I want to say is the Litecoin blocks are not filled at all. I think they are filled for maybe 1/20th of what they can be filled with. Yes, I was right. So the Litecoin blocks are filled 0.08 megabyte. And that means there's a lot of space for transactions. To be honest, I look at the amount of transactions from Litecoin, and I went in when Litecoin had 30,000 transactions per day, and now Litecoin has 150,000 transactions per day. So that means the real value has already grown 5 times, and the price has tripled or something. I went in for 56 euro. No, the price also has kind of went up 5 times. Yeah, that means another perfect prediction by myself. First I predicted the Bitcoin breakout and then I predicted the Litecoin breakout. Unlucky for you that I bring out this video today and not a month ago or 2 months ago when I did the Litecoin buy-in. But I suggest you to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next prediction. When I went in, I knew that there's less speculation and investors' money in Litecoin than in Bitcoin, but to be honest, I didn't check it for now. But you can check it, you just have to divide the price by the amount of transactions from Bitcoin and Litecoin, and then you can compare how much speculation and investors' money there is in. Alright, back to Bitcoin. The question is, why has the Bitcoin price risen so much when the real value has stagnated? And this is because, as I said, the price breakout brought a lot of mainstream attention to Bitcoin, and that obviously has drawn investors and speculators, and also the large capital investors, fund managers or Wall Street, didn't have access to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies because they have to justify their buy-in in front of the law and the courts and the customers because they are trading with, not with their own money, but with other people's money. So they have to justify in front of the courts and in front of the customers. And that means they nearly had no access to cryptocurrency so far, but their access is coming just the moment I speak. And you can see that, for example, in the futures market, futures, I'm not sure how exactly they work, if the people who sell futures actually have to have Bitcoin, or if they can just sell the papers, which actually have no value behind it. But the futures market is just a good entry for large capital investors. If you ask me how much capital these capital managers have, I would say around $200 trillion worth in paper money or in whatever. That means if the Wall Street speculators join the cryptocurrency world, we will have a massive increase in the price. Back to why the Bitcoin price may rise. It's, to simplify it, speculators and investors' money comes in. Another reason why the Bitcoin price may rise is the lose in faith in paper money. The people are more and more critical to the paper money. This has, of course, to do something with the financial crisis in 2008. A recession is actually a common process in our so-called free markets. And a recession is, okay, I will link it in the top right corner and I will go later onto it. But whatever, a recession is basically a normal process, but because the debt is so high, the last recession turned out to be a financial crisis. And the last recession was 9 years ago now. And the next recession is artificially delayed. Basically all 9 years, a recession has to be inverted in the system to fight against inflation. But this recession that we should face now is artificially delayed. The central banks have an historical low interest rate of 0% or even below 0%, which has never taken place in the entire history of humanity. And they also do something called quantitative easing, which is basically printing money and buying stocks or buying garbage debt. The amount of quantitative easing globally is around $25 trillion worth in paper money that they just printed to delay the next recession, which of course devalues the currency a lot. And everyone who says our inflation rate is at 1 or 2% just is either lying consciously because he benefits of his lie, or has just no idea of economy at all. The inflation rate is at least 8%, at least. In the top right corner, I will link a video of the end of paper money, or of the end of the debt money system. Actually, it's simple to understand. Money is created when debt is created, and to pay the debt, more and more money needs to be created, and that creates a gap between making money with capital and making money with work. Less and less money is made with work, and more money is made with capital, and it has to crash. It's just a system error. Another reason why the Bitcoin price raises is layer 2 solutions. The Bitcoin miners activated segwit this year. And segwit is something, it's just what you think it is. It means segregated witness, which means the confirmation of the Bitcoin transactions are separated from the blockchain to decrease the megabytes that need to be put in the blockchain to confirm the transactions. And with segwit you can have layer 2 solutions. There are a lot of layer 2 solutions, but I will just look at Lightning Network. And the Lightning Network would mean that Bitcoin confirmations would be instant. So today, Bitcoin confirmations take half an hour or even more. And with Lightning Network, Bitcoin confirmations would take 0.1 second or even less. And also, if the Lightning Network works, there wouldn't be any fees anymore. Or close to no fees, maybe 0.1 cent or something. And that means Bitcoin, if the Lightning Network works, would be the best payment system in the world. Even better than gold or silver, because you can transact over borders, and you don't have to be physically in place where you transact your gold or silver. So it basically means Bitcoin would be the best payment system in the world, without inflation, possibly anonymous and instant, at no cost. It's just the best payment system. And that means the demand of paper money, which is around $220 trillion at the moment, would go to cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin has 50% market domination in cryptocurrencies, so that means the demand on Bitcoin would be $105 trillion, and that would mean that one Bitcoin would be worth $5 million. In the top right corner I will link a video in which I will go through how the world develops, but there are also reasons why the Bitcoin price might drop, and the most simple reason is that the speculators just lose their interest, which would mean that the price could drop down to $2,500 within a month or so. Here you can see the bubble in 2013. The price went from €1,000 to €500, back up to €1,000, back to 500, then 750, and then all the way down to €200. And this happened within a year and a quarter year. But you can see that within a month, Bitcoin lost 50% of its value, just because the speculators lost their interest and panicked probably. Another reason why the Bitcoin price might drop is because Bitcoin maybe can default completely. I'm not sure if all what I mentioned now is possible, but it might be possible. For example, a miner attack of 51%. So if a group of miners get a majority of 51% or more, they can maybe manipulate the balances of the Bitcoins or manipulate the Bitcoin transactions. Another thing that can make Bitcoin default completely is segwit, because today 15 to 20% of the customers use segwit and 80% of the customers don't use segwit, and I don't know what happens if, let's say, all customers use segwit. Maybe there's a risk involved. You have to be a geek to understand this technology. Another reason why Bitcoin may default completely is other layer 2 solutions that don't work, because layer 2 solutions mean what's used to be in the blockchain is not in the blockchain anymore. Another reason why Bitcoin may drop to zero is because Bitcoin just gets banned, or the exchanges get banned, where you can swap paper money to cryptocurrencies. For example, China and I think South Korea banned exchanges. Another reason is that governments globally see Bitcoin as an enemy and they just want to attack Bitcoin, and that means they would just make up all the laws that they can. I think it's highly unlikely. Japan is really supporting Bitcoin, and Switzerland I think too. In Europe, Bitcoin is well accepted also, but America and China are a bit... maybe all governments globally will see Bitcoin as an enemy and just ban it. That wouldn't mean that Bitcoin would drop to zero, but it would mean that Bitcoin would have a hard time. I mean, in the end, governments would have to lose, because the better technology will always disrupt the world, no matter which laws are in place. Another reason why Bitcoin may go to zero is the internet maybe can be turned off. I don't know how the internet works in detail. I don't think that it's possible to do that. To be honest, all of the things I've mentioned in the last couple of minutes, that the Bitcoin price may default completely, I don't know if all of these things can even happen, but maybe they can happen. I'm just not sure if it could be. So just to be safe, I calculate in a 5% probability of a complete default of the Bitcoin price. Another reason why the Bitcoin price may drop is a financial crisis. In a financial crisis, the money disappears, the debt money disappears, because the paper money is not physically there, it's just in the PCs. 10% of the paper money is actually there, 90% is just in the PCs. And in a financial crisis, the supply of money melts down. Today we have around $220 trillion of paper money in circulation, and in a financial crisis it could be that the supply of paper money would melt down to $110 trillion. And if there's less supply of dollars, a single dollar has the double value of before the crisis. And if a dollar is worth $2, a Bitcoin that was $10,000 worth is now $5,000 worth. Not because something happened to Bitcoin, but because dollar has more value. And that doesn't just affect Bitcoin, that also affected gold in the last financial crisis and every other market, stocks for example, or real estate. But after the financial crisis, Bitcoin would probably skyrocket within a year or so, because people would lose their complete faith in paper money, probably. Another reason why the Bitcoin price might decrease is that the blocks are still full. As I mentioned before, the blocks are full on the blockchain, and with every day that the Bitcoin developer team isn't taking care of this problem, doesn't find a scaling solution, new customers go to altcoins. So the real value of Bitcoin can't grow. And maybe there's an altcoin with a scaling solution, and that would mean that Bitcoin would lose a lot of customers. Alright, now the conclusion. First, a disclaimer. I am no financial advisor. I just say my opinion, and everyone is responsible for his own money, obviously. I'm not responsible for what you do with your money. Okay, the conclusion. Long term, first of all, I really like long-term investing. I like to look at the fundamentals, for example, the amount of transactions, and I don't like to look at news and emotions. When I buy in, I always know when I sell, and I recommend you do this too. The best investment, as Warren Buffett said it too, is an investment which you never have to sell. So long term, I see Bitcoin has a great potential. It can drop to zero, but it can also grow 500 times in price. Short term, I don't like it. I think it's kind of unpredictable. You would have to be first at the news, and you would have to predict the emotions of the other market participants, which is hard. I don't do it. It's too risky for me. I don't need to do it. Short term, the price may increase up to $100,000 because large capital investors come in, but it can also drop down to 2,500 because people just don't want to speculate anymore. It's very hard to predict, and I don't recommend it. Alright. I hope you've learned something. If you have learned something and you want to know more about how to handle capital, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will basically upload my brain on this channel, or I will try to upload my brain. And that might be interesting for you. So hope to see you in the next video. Bye.